So we're approaching an era where the anime of yesteryear are starting to show their age. Even the stuff from the 2000s are blatantly not as sharp visually as the media we're getting now. What does that say about 90s anime? What does that say about 80s anime? With that being said, it's going to take an extremely entertaining piece of work to get skeptical fans to venture back and take in some of these older gems. But as any of you guys know, one man will always continue to help spread the ones of value, as long as he breathes. I always knew I liked Vampire Hunter D, but it's been some years since I watched it and I'm surprised it took me this long to strip it of its anime-backwhen virginity. Anyways, when a young girl named Doris is bitten by a vampire called Count Magnus Lee, she goes out and seeks a hunter for hire to help rectify the situation. Oh, is she in luck because she ends up bucking into a vampire hunter by the name of D, who agrees to help her. The concept used here of a girl getting attacked by a vampire and needing a strong male badass character to help find him and kill him and heal her, and stop her from being pimped off to this evil antagonist was clearly a front the way I see it to showcase the shit that people really want to watch a film like this for. Darkness, demons, mutants, spirits, action, suspense, blood, gore, you name it. They pumped all of that into this film, setting up a timeless classic that you can't help but appreciate. Not perfect, and we'll get to that a little later into the video, but great nonetheless. From the very beginning, viewers are dropped into a world of pure despair and hopelessness, which leaves one very curious to know what exactly went down in the history of this fictional depiction of Earth. Most of the anime was D advancing towards Lee's domain and taking on the abundance of demonic forces, and that's that in terms of the story that you're supposed to be following. So D epitomizes the strong alpha mysterious protagonists of very few words. I have reason to believe that a lot of these style of characters in future OVAs and series of the 90s and early 2000s would go on to follow this mold. Not saying he's the first one, but I can't really figure anybody else. He does speak more and more as the movie progresses, but more so only when necessary as opposed to being a character written to be your common verbal socialite. For you guys who haven't seen my review of Dark Side Blues, you should go check that out, cause the center of attention for that movie is very similar to D, for obvious reasons, both novels being written by the same author. As far as art style and animation, there really wasn't a better way for this post-apocalyptic hell to be handled. It showcased a variety of vibrant colors despite it being a predominantly dark-colored film. The atmosphere created where the story revolves takes place in areas such as wastelands and near completely vacated towns, help to properly drive this tone. You ever ask yourself, man, if I'm watching this damn near 40 years later after it's come out and I'm so impressed by its visuals and art and the overall project makes me feel a certain type of way, the anime fans of the show's contemporary must have had a heart attack seeing this for the first time back then. D would definitely fit this category. Unfortunately, as much as this is a classic anime film among the likes of Ninja Scroll and them, this movie is not without many noticeable flaws. And to be fair, majority of them revolve around the fact that this is an 80s anime movie that clearly didn't have too much room to experiment in terms of budget, and so the animation suffers drastically. It's sort of a shame because I stated earlier with the atmosphere, the movie has so much going on for itself visually with its setting. The character designs are rather forgettable aside from D himself. Sometimes the movie can actually look overly dark to the point you're trying to focus your eyes harder to get a good view of what's going on screen. Again, product of the 80s, so I can forgive this rather it being a 90s anime. Another thing important to point out here, since I'm sure most of you guys are going to be watching the English dub, it's pretty bad and a lot of the characters have horrendously cheesy voice acting. But yeah, that's all I wanted to say to let you guys know that you should go and check out Vampire Hunter D if you've missed this one. Like the video, comment down below what y'all want to see next. I'm out. Thanks for watching. Animebackwhen. Alright guys, so I hope you guys really enjoyed that review of Vampire Hunter D. I'm trying out a new little setup here that I'm doing with the lights and everything like that, and let me know if you guys enjoy it and I should keep doing it, or if you want it to just stay to the review. I'll keep it to the review. But yeah, so that was Vampire Hunter D. This would be my second time around watching this. It's crazy because I just got the DVD of this the other day. I always had Bloodlust. I've had Bloodlust for years. But for whatever reason, I never could find this for a price that I wanted to pay. So after years, I finally got it. It was always like $24.99, or there's no used copies online, or whatever the case may be. It was always something. I didn't really feel like I should pay 30 bucks for a movie. So finally, I was able to get it on extremely cheap, and it was so bad to the point where I actually had to watch the movie. As any of you guys know, I kind of stick to, you know, especially with the older stuff, I like to watch and review things I own. It got to the point where I was just like, screw it, I'm just going to watch it online. But yeah, so Vampire Hunter D, 1985, and it shows, as I told you in the review, Hideyuki Kikuchi was the author of the novel that this is based on, who also did Dark Side Blues. So there's alignments with the two films as far as the atmosphere of the world and the main characters. And I feel like with D, I feel like this is Dark Side Blues was like a failed attempt to spiritually success this, because the story for D was there, even though it wasn't very, you know, it wasn't the main focus of the movie. I feel like they definitely put the focus into other elements, but the story for D was there, whereas the story for Dark Side Blues, I really can't say that there was one. You know what I mean? Or at least there wasn't one in the format that one in a way that was very understandable or easy to follow. There's that, and then with the mystery of Dark Side, I feel like they just kind of overdid it. As far as with D, he's mysterious and everything like that, but he's still somebody that you can understand to a certain extent because he actually opens his mouth and talks. So yeah, not too much more I want to say on this, man. Great movie. Check it out if you haven't seen it. There's something else that I wanted to say here. Yeah, let me know what you guys think about when it comes to these 80s anime. Not so much the 90s stuff, but the 80s anime stuff. The 80s movies and stuff like that. Because I feel like there's a lot of them that I missed out on because I had this thing in my head where I felt like the 80s was a little... I was like, there's some cool stuff from the 80s, like, you know, Akira and of course the Studio Ghibli stuff, but nah, the 80s is a little bit too dated for me. But now I'm going back and I'm shocked because I didn't remember that this was from the 80s. I thought that this was maybe like 90, 91, but this is 1985, man. So yeah, so that's it for Vampire Hunter D. Like the video, comment down below what y'all want to see next. Peace.